Hello everybody, my name's Nicola and welcome back to my channel. This is the Frugal Cottage, where we talk all things money to help you on your financial journey. Today's video is all about how you make money investing. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get started. So, investing in the stock market can seem like quite a scary and maybe intimidating place to look. However, it is actually very simple, the concept of investing, and there are lots of different resources to explain just how to get started investing. I have lots of information in blog posts on my site. I'll leave a link down below. I also teach workshops about how to get started investing, and I'll leave a link below to my next one. But how to make money from the stock market in theory is very simple. So before you start investing, you need to have a budget in place, and the reason for this is that basically so you know how much you can invest each month out of your budget. I'll leave a link below to two different videos. I've got a video on my June budget setup, so that's the latest one. I'll leave a link below so you can see how I set up our budget, and then I'll leave a link below to the zero-based budget method video I've got. That's a budget method where you account for every single penny in your budget so that you know where it's all going. But the basis of having a good budget in place, one that you are kind of aware of, you know how it works, is so that you can know how much you can afford, because it is it is like a line on your budget, to put into your investments each month. The next thing that you need to do before starting investing, well, there are two things really. So you've got your budget in place. The next thing you need to do is you should aim to pay off all credit cards and or loans before you start. That's because any kind of debt like that has a much higher percentage interest rate than you would potentially get from investments, give or take. So to give yourself the strongest starting point available, you need to try and get rid of that debt to begin with. And the third thing is to have an emergency fund in place. An emergency fund can cover between 3 to 6 months of your expenses, so it would cover everything in your budget. Obviously some of the things in your budget, if it was a real emergency and you suddenly had no money coming in, that they can be cut, but your emergency fund should cover all of the payments, all of your fixed payments, so like bills, and then things to live off between 3 and 6 months. And that can be kind of a working goal, but you definitely need to get that set up as well. I'll leave a link below to my emergency fund blog post where there is a tracker to help you get started with that. So you've got your budget in place, you've paid off your cards and your loans if you have any, and you've got your emergency fund started. So now is the time to look at investing for the long term. Remember, investing, unless you want to be a day trader, which is a whole different ballgame, investing should be a long-term perspective, i.e. you're looking at investing for 10 years or more. Any sooner than that, the time range doesn't give you enough time to kind of weather the storm, so to speak. So the ups and downs that are natural in the stock market, over 10 years they should average out over time, which is why if you read investing books and blogs or whatever else, it says to look at it as a long-term thing rather than a quick fix scheme. Two ways to make money in the stock market, in theory. Obviously, like I've just said, that it does go up and down. There are times when it might go down, but there are also times when it will go up. And two things to say first is, I am not a financial advisor. You need to do your own research on if you're going to start investing. I can explain the basics, but I'm not recommending that you invest anything that I talk about. And secondly, you need to do your own research. So I can't advise on you should invest in X, Y, Z. You need to do your own research. And I have lots of information on my blog about investing and about my own journey investing. I'll leave a link below to that. But you need to do your research, and the most important thing perhaps when you're looking at investing is don't try and time the market. You cannot possibly, no one possibly knows when the market will go up and down. Even the people who do this as their job don't know that. So don't try and time the market, try and stay the course. If you have an investment strategy, then stay with that as much as possible. Obviously, kind of life, unexpected things might get in the way, but hopefully your finances are set up in such a way that your investments will still be kind of left alone, essentially. So, two different ways of making money in the stock market. One is dividend income. So I've talked about dividend income a lot. I am a dividend income investor. That is my investment strategy. I'll leave a link below to 2 videos, one about dividends themselves, what are they, how do you kind of work those out, and 2, a video from my personal aim of aiming to get to £1,000 a month in dividend income. So they are the 2 videos I've already got, but dividend income is one of the ways to make money from the stock market. So how does it work? So you buy a holding in either an individual company, which is more risky, or a fund, which is less risky. And if you choose the income version of that fund, they will pay out a dividend. So it's either once a year, twice a year, or 4 times a year are the general kind of time scale for that. And dividends are paid back to the investor, and essentially it's giving you back a little part of the profit of that company. Dividends at the moment are slightly less secure. Lots of companies have put in place a suspension of the dividend or even a dividend cut because of the current climate, but normally a dividend income is fairly consistent if you invest in the right companies, obviously. So that's the one way to make money, and the way that you can build on that quite quickly is if you get investments that pay dividends and then you reinvest those dividends to essentially buy more, whether it's the same stock, the same fund, different ones, however you want to do that, and you can automatically do that, you can set that up to automatically do that, then you get that ball rolling, and then the next time, because you bought more, you'll get paid more next time in theory. That's the first way to make money in the stock market, and that's the way that I am looking at as a long-term investor. The second way is what's called capital gains. So if you buy a holding in something for £1,000, let's say for ease, and in a year's time it's now worth £1,100, if you sold at that point, that £100 is profit. That's what is called capital gains when you are investing. Obviously, if you're going to sit on this for 10 years, it might be a lot more than £100, but the profit, what you make on that investment, is called capital gains. But it's a bit of a fancy word for it, I suppose. But if you invest right, and you invest at the right time, not trying to time the market, but just generally just kind of sitting on an investment, some of these can make you an awful lot of money through capital gains. If you invested in Amazon when it first started as a company, you know, your initial investment would probably be worth millions by now if you've sat on it and not sold it. However, capital gains is more of a let's wait and see. Dividend investing is more immediate, if you like. You can kind of get paid or start to receive dividend income within your first year in investing if you want it. There are obviously alternatives. You can reinvest it. You can choose accumulation funds, which you don't get paid dividends in, but the price goes up, hence the capital gains bit. Essentially kind of balances out in the end. Now, if you do this correctly, you should be able to combine the two. So you combine the dividend income bit of making money in the stock market, combined with the capital gains, the waiting it out and hoping that the share price increases, which history seems to suggest it does for the majority. That combined will make you money in the stock market, or it should do. Remember, as always, you need to do your own research. Now, the way you get around tax in this is you either do this within a pension. Pension is a tax wrapper, whether it's through your job, depending on what you work as, or you can set up something called a SIP, which is a self-invested pension plan, personal pension, something like that. Or, for the majority of us, and this is what I do, you have this within a stocks and shares ISA. And because you have it in a stocks and shares ISA, you don't pay tax on any of the dividend income, and you don't pay tax on any of the capital gains. If you have it in a normal fund share account, you are taxed on any income you receive and any capital gains that you get. You would have to do a tax return on that. If you have it within the stocks and shares ISA, you don't, because it's a tax wrapper. So if you're thinking about investing in ways to make money, if you don't already have one, because you can only have one in a tax year, make sure your investments are in a stocks and shares ISA where possible. But the combination of dividend income and capital gains over time can, in theory, make you a lot of money in the stock market, especially if you reinvest those dividends, and therefore you're getting more shares, you're getting more in one holding, or however you want to do it. Those two combined are the two ways that you can make money in the stock market. I hope that's been helpful for you. Let me know down below if you're starting to think about investing, if you've got any investments already. I love to hear from people who are starting their investment journey. Like I said, I'll leave links below to the various things that hopefully might help you along the way. I also do dividend income updates on my channel, so I'll leave a link below to those as well. That just shows you my own investment journey in terms of how I'm building that £1,000 a month dividend income stream for our early retirement goals. And obviously if that's not obvious, that's a long-term goal. It's going to take us a long time to get there. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you again very soon.